3 seconds. Welcome, Inthirani'S to ENTV today. Very excited to be interviewing you.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, you got quite the story. And for those that don't know you yet or haven't heard about your story, how would you like to begin this interview? Because you've lived some experiences, haven't you?
Yes.
Where does it start for you? Where do you like to go back to?
Uh, we could go back to when I was a young girl.
Let's do it. All right, go for it. So tell the audience what your journey has been, please.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I started off as you know, as a young girl caring for my mother. Came from a very cultural home, and I was the oldest daughter in the family. And my mother, she progressively, she was a diabetic, and she progressively lost her eyesight over time. And when I was about the age of 9, one day I went to get her to come to eat because I was, as I mentioned, I was the oldest daughter. My father was at work, and she wasn't gonna wake up. She wouldn't wake up, and I was just so terrified, of course. I thought she was dead. All I could think of doing in that moment was just running outside, screaming at the top of my lungs for help, and my neighbor, so graciously, she opened her window and she said, call nine, what's wrong, of course. And then I told her and she said, call 911. So I went running back inside. My hand literally was shaking. I couldn't even dial the phone because I've never made a phone call before. And to call and we had the rotary dial, of course. And I was trying to dial that, and I've managed to get a hold of the operator, 911, and the operator talked me through. She says, don't put the phone down. But she was so amazing. She explained everything I had to do, turn her to her side, and all this sort of stuff. And and of course I ran outside because I didn't want the ambulance to miss the house, at 9 years old. And and then, thankfully I saw that I was jumping up and down, and I saw the ambulance trying to get their attention, and they came in, and they literally they woke her up again, thankfully, and they worked on her, and I was so grateful. And I learned tremendous. It didn't happen once; it happened several times. But the next couple of times, I knew what to do even before she, went into a diabetic coma or shock. And so, yeah,
That's a lot for a little kid to go through,
yeah.
learn to face. So that kind of set the stage. And then what happened next?
Oh, well, I also learned, like how to deal with mental health because she had mental health issues as well, and how to deal in the spur of the moment, when I saw things that she was doing, like going outside or being found at my neighbor's house because she thought she was going to get her eyesight back. So it was just that alertness. I gained an incredible alertness and awareness of how to deal with medical emergencies, how to like act in the moment. and
Wow.
yeah, so I gained incredible knowledge, and which really got me excited about learning more. Like I had this deep rooted desire of helping and doing more in my life. And I volunteered when my high school, they there were opportunities to do service. And I got so excited, when I learned, like, oh, you could volunteer at the hospital. And which is a Vancouver General Hospital. And I got to learn in that experience too. I was at that time in my life, I had incredible anxiety too. I was about 16 years old when I started volunteering. And I was terrified even going on the buses, you know. but I, but I had this purpose of going to this place. And when I was there, there were nurses, and I learned so much for every person in it, that were in that hospital. The nurses, not only them, the patients, they taught me so much. I realized how every person made a difference in this world. And these were elderly people that I got to volunteer with. And it was so heartwarming because I learned of their stories, and many of them were lonely. I felt their loneliness. I identified with them because I too I had all this fear and all this emotions that. And I was learning from them that, how they experienced life and how they went through struggles and, expansion and growth in their lives. Because we all go through, every experience leads us to, so much knowledge and growth for our spirit. It's our spirit. We are human spirits. We are beings on this planet.
Amazing how you were kind of set up, even from as a kid, you were set up for this like fashion to serve and consider others and to help those in need. Your whole story started like that, right? Like you were
Hmm.
prepared for this work. So let's go to today then. What's your hand at today? What are you working on?
So today, what I do is I work full time. I work with adults with special needs in an art studio, and I've been so blessed because I learn from them every day too. I'm always learning. There's always more to learn. Never ends. I mean, when I've been asked like, "What are you an expert at?" I believe there's there's always room to grow. There's always room to learn in every area of our lives. And I I get the privilege of being a kind of like a guide, teaching, learning through them and sharing my knowledge with them, so they can be their greatest selves. They're artists. This is their work, and to give them hand over hand support, whatever it is that they need for their ability, because we all have abilities. Every one of us has the abilities and the ability to communicate. And it's just spending that time and getting to know what is it that I can do to support them so that they can have their best quality of life and be a part of society, like all of us have this privilege to be a part.
Oh, I'd say it sounds like you're a professional at having an amazing attitude and mindset. And you're obviously very patient as well.
Mm, thank you.
Yeah. So your life then, so you work full time in that, and then what's on the horizon? What's coming up? Is there anything you feel knocking on your heart's door?
Yes, is to go there and share my stories, and to inspire lives so that people understand that their life has a purpose. We all have a purpose in this world, and to share from a place of compassion and bring compassion and kindness and patience and understanding to others, through speaking and sharing my knowledge.
What are the top lessons you've learned then in this decades of journey you've been going through from the first time at the rotary phone, dialing in at 9 years old with your mom to where you are today? Like, if you could bestow two or three like key lessons on the audience, what would you tell them?
Absolutely. So I would love to share that every one of you have a purpose in this world. You have abilities, you have knowledge, and we came with gifts. We all came with gifts, and and those gifts are meant to be shared. Those gifts are meant to be shared with others. And that's how we can have a beautiful community, society, world is by sharing our knowledge because we all have knowledge to be shared.
Uh, and Sarani, thank you for that. Thank you for being here. Are you writing a book about this?
I have several books that I've actually written as well.
Let's talk about them.
I have Soul Path, The Journey of a Heart-Centered Leader, which takes you on a journey of coming into this world and how we all go through, there's social media in, that we experience. We all have gifts, and there's like these incredible leaders that have, who had struggled in their lives, like Helen Keller, but she shared her gift and made this world a better place. Is to find what is our gift in this world, and to share that, and be the heart-centered leader that we all have that capacity to be.
You're like a professional gift finder.
Thank you.
So you come across to me. Anyway, another book. Do you have another book you want to talk about?
Yes, and I wrote the Self-Esteem Survival Guide. That was my first book actually, and it is a true story of because I struggled with self-esteem, and as a young girl with a lot of anxiety, and this is actually a relation through my relationship as because I had an arranged marriage, and it takes you on the journey of how we all do have a purpose, a greater purpose in this world, and the
Oh,
ups and downs of relationships. Yeah.
that's not something a lot of people on this channel are going to be aware of. Arranged marriages. You could go there and unpack that a bit because, like, how much more does attitude and mindset come into play when these choices are made for you, kind of thing, and then you get to choose how are you going to respond. That must be like a serious boot camp of an opportunity to again adorn powerful mindsets. I'm sure you could talk about that for a while.
Yeah, right.
Now, well, anything else you'd like to say in your interview that you'd like to leave with the audience?
Yes, just know that within every one of us exists love, peace, and incredible knowledge and calmness. So just whenever you struggle in your life, just know within you there is love. Love exists within all of us.
In wow, Inthirani, thank you for being in ENTV. This has been a powerful interview. I'll be tagging you in this. If you have watched this today and you are on ENTV today, connect with Inthirani. I'm sure she'd love to check out her books. Maybe she'd like to jump on a call with you. And it sounds like you should be doing some coaching in Inthirani if you haven't already been doing that. But that's just my thoughts on that. Thanks for being here, Inthirani. This was awesome.
I'm so grateful. Thank you for this honor of being in your presence. Thank you.
Okay, Melinda here. My pleasure.